All right, let's dive in. Today, we're exploring the world of Robert Kiyosaki and his pretty unique ideas about money and wealth building.
You mean the rich dad, poor dad guy?
The one and only. I mean, his book is practically a financial Bible for some folks, you know.
Yeah, I get it.
But he's also known for, kind of shaking things up a bit.
He definitely challenges a lot of the traditional financial advice out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the things that might really surprise you is, well, his view on the education system.
Yeah, he doesn't exactly hold back on that one.
Not at all.
Yeah.
He actually argues that it's practically designed to keep us financially clueless.
He claims that something like 99% of people graduate without even knowing how to read a financial statement.
Wow, 99%. That's a pretty wild statistic.
It is, yeah.
I mean, I remember my accounting classes being, kind of dry, but I didn't realize it was that widespread.
He tells this pretty hilarious story about his accounting teacher, who he claims wasn't even a real accountant. Like, the guy had the degree, but no actual, real world experience.
It's like learning to swim from someone who's never been in the water, right?
Exactly.
You need that practical knowledge.
Yeah, and that lack of practical, hands-on knowledge, that's kind of a recurring theme in all of Kiyosaki's work, really.
Right, right.
It's actually why he created that famous cash flow board game of his.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because he felt like traditional education just wasn't cutting it when it came to teaching those vital financial skills.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So how does this tie into his cash flow quadrant?
Well, the cash flow quadrant is basically Kiyosaki's way of mapping out how people earn money.
Oh.
And it's not just about how much you make, but how you make it.
Right.
It's about, think about it. Are you trading your time for money? Or are you building something that generates income even when you're not working?
So it's really about getting people to think differently about their income sources, right?
Absolutely, yeah. He divides it into these 4 categories. Employees, he calls them E's, the self-employed, or S's, the business owners, the B's, and then the investors, the I's.
Uh-huh.
And while there's, nothing wrong with being an employee or self-employed,
Right.
he really emphasizes, the B and the I quadrants as the path to building, lasting wealth.
I see. So it's about creating systems that work for you rather than you working for the system.
Exactly. You got it.
It's pretty brilliant when you think about it that way.
Yeah.
So give me an example of this quadrant thing in action.
Okay. Well, Kiyosaki himself, he could have chosen to just, be a pilot for an airline, right? Respectable career, good salary, all that.
Yeah.
But instead, he chose to invest in airlines.
Interesting.
That's that I quadrant mindset in action, right?
Wow.
He saw the bigger picture and chose to build wealth through ownership rather than just trading his time for a paycheck.
That's a pretty bold move. I mean, most people would probably just stick with the steady paycheck.
Right. Well, that's kind of his whole point, He's really challenging that traditional financial advice, particularly when it comes to, the whole get a good job, save for retirement mantra.
Oh yeah, he definitely doesn't shy away from criticizing that approach.
Right. He argues that this traditional path might not be enough anymore, especially in today's world.
Yeah, things are changing so fast.
Exactly. Job security it's becoming a thing of the past, and clinging to these outdated financial models could actually be, holding people back.
So what's the alternative then? Like if that traditional path isn't enough, what's Kiyosaki's solution?
Well, his answer is financial literacy.
Okay.
And it's not just about balancing your checkbook or whatever. It's about understanding how money works.
Right.
How to make it work for you. How to spot opportunities, and how to, build a secure future that's not dependent on a job or a government pension.
Okay. So financial literacy is key. I get that. But where do we even start? Like, what's the first step?
Well, Kiyosaki believes it all starts with understanding the difference between assets and liabilities.
Okay. So assets good, liabilities bad.
Well, it's a little more nuanced than that, but that's the basic idea.
Okay.
He argues that we should be focusing on acquiring assets that generate income rather than just accumulating liabilities that drain our resources.
So give me an example then. Like, is my house an asset or a liability?
That's the $1 million question. one. I mean, most people would say their home is an asset, right?
Of course.
But Kiyosaki would argue that if your house is costing you money each month, mortgage payments, property taxes, maintenance, all of that,
Right, right.
then it's actually acting as a liability, at least in the short term.
That's a pretty different way of looking at it.
Yeah.
So how does Kiyosaki suggest we start acquiring these income generating assets?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. He actually has some pretty unconventional views on money itself.
Oh, right. He categorizes it into those three types, right?
Who's got it?
God's money, and then there's like fiat currency and fake assets.
He even brought actual gold bars to the recording to make his point.
I remember that. That was pretty wild.
Yeah, he calls gold and silver God's money because they have like this intrinsic value.
Oh, okay.
That's not dependent on governments or financial systems.
Nice.
He sees them as a hedge against, the potential instability of fiat currencies.
So he's not a big fan of the U.S. dollar or the euro then?
He's definitely skeptical of fiat currencies in general.
Interesting.
He sees them as inherently flawed because their value is based, solely on trust in governments, which, as he points out, can be, pretty shaky at times.
Yeah, that's a fair point, especially these days.
You're right.
But what about these fake assets he talks about? Like what exactly does he mean by that?
Well, it's clear he's wary of certain, financial instruments that he sees as being built on kind of flimsy foundations.
Okay.
He doesn't necessarily name them explicitly, but he seems to be suggesting that not all assets are created equal,
I see.
and that some might be, riskier than others.
So how do we know which assets are the real deal and which ones might be, those fake ones he's talking about?
That's a great question, and one that we'll definitely delve into further in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, so stay tuned.
We'll explore Kiyosaki's views on risk and learning and how to, navigate the complexities of the financial world in general.
Sounds like we're just getting started.
Oh yeah, we've got a lot more to unpack.
This is fascinating stuff. It is. I'm really enjoying this.
Me too.
All right, well, we'll be back in a bit with part 2 of our deep dive into the world of Robert Kiyosaki, where we'll unpack his controversial views on education and how it relates to your personal journey towards financial freedom.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Stay tuned.
All right, see you soon. All right, so we're back and ready to keep digging into this Robert Kiyosaki rabbit hole.
You could say that again.
In the first part, we started to kind of unravel his critique of the traditional education system,
Right.
and his emphasis on financial literacy.
Yeah, and he goes beyond just, critiquing it.
Oh, yeah.
He actually says that the education system was like hijacked by the ultra rich.
Hold on, hijacked?
Yeah.
That's a pretty serious accusation.
Well, he backs it up by pointing to, the lack of practical financial education in most schools.
Right.
He argues that while we're taught, algebra and history and all that stuff, we're not really taught how to manage our money or invest wisely.
Yeah, that's true.
Or even understand how the financial system really works.
Yeah, I mean, I took economics in high school, but I don't remember learning anything about investing or taxes.
Right, exactly.
Or even how to read a financial statement.
And Kiyosaki argues that this lack of financial education leaves most people, unprepared for the real world.
Yeah.
Makes them more susceptible to debt and financial dependence.
Okay, I see his point.
Yeah.
And he even contrasts this with his own experience learning from successful entrepreneurs,
Right.
like Donald Trump.
Yeah, he co-authored a couple of books with Trump.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And he often cites him as like a real world example of someone who understands finance.
Right.
And isn't afraid to play the money game, so to speak.
He even mentions learning a lot about taxes from Trump, which, knowing Trump's history with the IRS, is interesting, to say the least.
It definitely raises some eyebrows.
Yeah.
But Kiyosaki's point is that, real world financial knowledge often comes from unconventional sources, not necessarily from textbooks or classrooms.
You have to get out there.
You got to learn from the people who are actually, playing the game.
Right, not just those who are teaching it.
Exactly.
Like the difference between reading a book about basketball and actually getting out on the court and playing, right?
Exactly.
You learn by doing.
You learn by doing, by making mistakes, by adapting to the real-time flow of the game.
Right, right.
And that's precisely why Kiyosaki created the cash flow game in the first place.
Oh, okay.
He believes that experiencing the ups and downs of investing
Right.
in a simulated environment can help people kind of develop a better understanding of financial concepts
Right.
and build their confidence in making real-world decisions.
He actually claims that playing the game 100 times can like rewire your brain to think differently about money.
It's a bold claim.
It is.
But there's something to be said for that experiential learning, you know? I mean,
Right.
think about it. How many of us learn to ride a bike by reading a manual?
Not me, that's for sure.
Right. It was all about trial and error, falling down, getting back up, and trying again until it finally clicked.
Right, exactly.
And Kiyosaki believes that a similar approach can be applied to learning about money.
Okay.
It's about getting out of your comfort zone, taking calculated risks, and not being afraid to make mistakes along the way.
So he's really encouraging us to embrace that learning by doing mentality.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to something as potentially intimidating as finances.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And he contrasts this with the traditional school system,
Right.
which often, penalizes
Yeah,
mistakes
right.
and discourages risk taking.
Right.
And he uses the term fake teachers
Mm-hmm.
to describe those who, teach from textbooks but don't have real world experience,
Yeah.
suggesting that their approach to education can actually like hinder students' growth and development.
Right.
Fake teachers. That's pretty harsh.
He's definitely not afraid to ruffle some feathers.
No, he's not.
But his point is that true financial education, it comes from experiencing the market firsthand,
Right.
not from memorizing theories or regurgitating facts on a test.
So it's about getting your hands dirty.
Exactly.
And he stresses that this is especially important for, millennials and younger generations
Right.
who are coming of age in a world that's vastly different from the one their parents and grandparents grew up in.
The old rules of money, they just don't apply anymore.
Right.
Job security is a thing of the past.
Yeah.
And the traditional path to wealth, go to school, get a good job, save for retirement, it might not be enough anymore.
So what's the alternative? What's the new roadmap to financial security in this crazy, rapidly changing world?
Kiyosaki's answer is pretty clear. It's financial literacy.
I love
It's about understanding how money works, how to make it work for you, and how to navigate the increasingly complex world of investing and entrepreneurship.
He actually uses this analogy of fake food and fake water to describe the current financial system,
Yeah.
suggesting that we need to be more discerning about where we get our financial nourishment.
It's a powerful image, right?
Yeah.
He's essentially saying that we need to be, critical thinkers when it comes to money,
Right.
to question the status quo and to educate ourselves so we can make informed decisions that align with our financial goals.
So where does this leave our listener? Like what are some actionable steps they can take to start building their own financial literacy
Yeah.
and chart their own course to financial freedom?
Well, Kiyosaki offers a few concrete suggestions, and we'll dive into those right after this.
Okay, so we're back, ready to wrap up our deep dive into Robert Kiyosaki's world. We've covered a lot, his views on education, his ideas about the financial system, all that.
Now it's time to get down to brass tacks, right? Like, what can people actually do with all this?
Yeah, I mean, Kiyosaki's all about taking action. He wouldn't just, leave us hanging with a bunch of theories, would he?
No, definitely not. He actually offers a bunch of concrete steps you can take to start building your own path to financial freedom.
Okay, I'm all ears. Let's hear it.
All right. So first and foremost, he really emphasizes understanding financial statements.
Okay.
It's the language of business, right?
Right.
And if you can't read it, you're essentially flying blind.
So it's like learning to read a map before you set out on a journey.
Exactly. Imagine trying to navigate a new city without a map, right?
Yeah, you'd be totally lost.
You'd be lost, confused,
Yeah.
Financial statements, they're the map of the financial world. They help you understand how businesses work, where the money's flowing and whether, an investment is worth your time and resources.
So step one, learn to read those financial statements. What's next?
He also encourages, exploring different asset classes.
Yeah.
Diversification is key, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right. And this is where his cash flow quadrant comes in, right?
Yeah.
Like moving towards those B&I quadrants.
Absolutely. He wants people to think beyond just, traditional employment
Okay.
and explore the world of entrepreneurship or investing,
Right.
starting your own business, building a real estate portfolio, investing in the stock market. These are all ways to generate income that's not, directly tied to your time.
And he actually practices what he preaches, right?
Yeah.
He's always talking about his real estate investments.
He does. He sees real estate as this tangible asset
Yeah.
that can provide both, cash flow and appreciation over time.
Right.
And remember, it's not just about owning property, it's about owning the right property.
So how do we find those right properties or investments? Like what's the secret sauce?
Well, Kiyosaki encourages looking for what he calls hidden opportunities.
Okay.
Think outside the box.
Okay.
Look for undervalued assets that other people might be overlooking.
It's kind of like how he talks about buying gold and silver when they were much cheaper, right?
Exactly. He had the foresight to see an opportunity that many others missed.
Yeah.
It's about doing your research, developing your financial intelligence, and having the courage to go against the grain sometimes.
So it's about trusting your gut, but also, backing it up with solid research and a good understanding of the market.
You got it.
Okay.
And remember, the financial world is constantly evolving,
Yeah.
so continuous learning is crucial.
Always be learning.
Kiyosaki, he really stresses the importance of staying ahead of the curve, reading books, attending seminars, and connecting with other, investors and entrepreneurs.
Like any other skill,
Yeah.
you got to keep practicing and honing your craft.
Absolutely. And just like with any skill, you're going to make mistakes along the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Kiyosaki emphasizes that making mistakes is part of the learning process, right?
Right.
Don't let fear of failure hold you back.
Easier said than done sometimes, though.
Right. But the key is to, view those mistakes as learning opportunities, not as setbacks.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
And if you're, feeling uncertain or overwhelmed, he suggests seeking out, mentors, people who have already achieved the financial success that you're striving for.
So find those who've walked the path before you,
Right.
and learn from their experiences.
Exactly. And finally, remember Kiyosaki's his mantra: take action.
Take action.
It's not enough to just, understand these concepts. You need
Yeah,
you need to put them into practice, start small, take calculated risks, and learn from your experiences.
Learn from your experiences.
That's how you build real wealth and achieve true financial freedom.
Well, there you have it. A deep dive into the world of Robert Kiyosaki, a man who's he's challenged the status quo, inspired millions to rethink their relationship with money.
We've explored his core principles, his controversial views, and his actionable advice.
And we hope you come away with some valuable insights.
Yeah.
And a renewed sense of possibility when it comes to your own financial future.
Remember, financial freedom it's within reach.
Right.
But it requires a shift in mindset.
Right.
Hey, a commitment to learning and a willingness to, step outside your comfort zone.
As Kiyosaki himself would say, financial education is the key to taking control of your financial destiny.
Well said.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
And we hope you'll join us again next time for another exploration of fascinating ideas and inspiring stories.
See you then.